Greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking, and I am Dale Barcy. So as usual, if you have comments, please leave us one. Subscribe. Let us know what you think. So today, my guest is Janine Kelbach. She's a registered nurse. She's a certified OB nurse. She's a wife, a mom of 2 boys and 2 Great Danes, and author of the book, Entrepreneurs, 30 plus nurses turn into business owners and share their secrets to success. She has been a freelance health content writer since 2013 and is the CEO of Write RN. She hosts the Savvy Scribe podcast, which is a podcast for healthcare professionals who want to build a profitable writing business. Her team of RN writers help healthcare companies with their content and social media needs. Welcome, Janine.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. We're both excited.
I know. I can't even stand
it. So let's start with my favorite question is what led you to be a nurse?
So I'm not the typical, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I wanted to be a nurse always when I grew up. I didn't. I wanted to be a veterinarian. And then I think I just chose that because I liked animals. I never wanted to kill an animal or anything, as you have to do the animal. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. But when I was in high school, I had to do some service hours to graduate, and I volunteered in the OB department at my community hospital. And while I was there, I actually have an identical twin sister, and we did this together. And while we were there, we watched the nurses and we just watched them. Neither of us were sick as children, but we both had traumatic experiences when we were getting our tonsils out as kids and just deathly afraid of needles. And so going into healthcare or anything to do with that was a terrifying experience for us. So when we answered the door because it's a lockdown unit, answered the door, we made up charts and we just kind of watched and we're like, this looks interesting. And from then on, my mom, and this is funny how life kind of, you think about it and you're like, well, maybe this is really why I went into it. My mom actually had a stillborn 39-week sister of mine when I was 8 years old. And all we ever knew is that we didn't know why it happened. And it was traumatic. Again, traumatic experiences too. And I was the oldest. So, as the oldest, I mean, 5 minutes older than my twin, but still the oldest.
You never let her forget it, huh?
Right? And, you have to kind of hold it together. And I didn't ask many questions and whatnot. But, now that I'm an OB and I do these things every single day, I'm like, maybe that's why I went into it. But truly, what happened was we did these volunteer hours, and then there was an open position for an aide. And we asked that manager, we're like, can we both do this part-time? Because we work at Burger King and we need to work there too. And we need to go to school. And they're like, yeah, this would be great. I'm like, we're both hard workers. Like we can do this. So we both interviewed for the job. We obviously both got the job. We're identical, like I said. So the nurses had a hard time telling us apart. We had to wear separate color bands. But yeah, so that's kind of how we got into it. And then from then on, we both decided we want to go to nursing school and both decided we wanted to do something in maternal child health. And so my twin actually went into the NICU and she did that for several years. And now she does women's health gynecology for oncology. So, it's definitely a path that was a little bit different than others, but that's it in a nutshell.
Wow. Well, that's some story.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you never worked in any of the specialty, huh?
No, so yeah, I just ended up in OB and I loved it. I remember in nursing school, everybody said, "Oh, you'd be great in critical care. Oh, you should do ICU. You should do ER." And I'm like, I know, I think I'm good at it too, but that's not where my heart is. My heart is in OB and I really want to do OB. So that's how I landed there.
Yeah, I get it. Believe me, I get it. I'm also a midwife and I get it.
Yes, you do get it. I mean, it's truly. But they do at nursing school. Go to med surge first. Go here, go there. I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to. I will be the best OB nurse I could possibly be. And I was. I am. But I didn't want to work there.
So do you think that if the day ever came when you couldn't be a nurse, you would still be a vet?
No. I
Okay.
love my animals. I do love animals, but not as a career. Never.
So what led you then to be a writer?
So back in 2013, 2012, my second son was born. And again, I don't know why, then you start thinking about life. Well, maybe this is
Yeah.
why it happened. I knew at that time I needed to do something a little bit different than just bedside all the time because I was on night shift. I was doing all the things, right? I did the assistant manager role. I was
Hmm.
charge nurse. I was precepting. I was
Yeah.
picking up all the extra. And I was away from my newborn and away from my 7-year-old at the time a lot. And it was getting to the point that I said, you know what? I really want to be home more, but I don't know how to do that. So I ended up going online, like many of the people in my group that I host, like just Googling nursing jobs I can do from home. And
Hmm.
now, honestly, I think it's probably more popular than ever than people
Yes.
are Googling this. But
Hmm.
when I stumbled upon it in 2012, I was like, freelance writing. I'm like, first off, I don't even know what that means. And second, I like to write. I've always written. Um, I always enjoyed it. So let me see, this is something I could do. So I joined this group of freelance writers. They weren't nurses, they weren't in healthcare or anything. They were moms, actually. And I was like, well, I'm a mom. I could do this. I wasn't even thinking to do this as a nurse. I was just thinking, let's do some little side thing. And
Yeah.
I've always had that kind of brain. I was always doing things on the side. Like I said, like I couldn't give up the Burger King job for
Yeah.
the aid job. Like I always had just a lot of balls rolling. I also babysat. Like it was just
Yeah.
always what I did. And so I started doing it. I started selling my words and people bought them. And people as in clients they ended up liking the different content that I would write. I really liked writing content for different companies that wanted information about maternal child health, obviously. Like this is
Yeah.
my area. And if
Hmm.
I could help other patients, if I could help other nurses, if I can share my knowledge and write the way I need to so that patients aren't coming to me with what they've Googled that's
Yeah.
inaccurate, that's what I was trying to do out of it. And it worked. And I really, really enjoyed it. It gave me that flexibility and freedom to be home with the kids. And yeah, so then I just started building it from there.
Awesome. Awesome. And so then now you have a podcast.
Yeah, so then, I mean, years later, I mean, so that was like 2012, 2013. Not until 2019 did I start the podcast. Um, so in 2013, I started my own business. I was just kind of doing all the things, just trying to make this work. And then I had other nurses coming to me, Jenny, how you doing this? What do you do? I like to write. Show me what you're doing. So I coached them how to do it. And they did great. I mean, they left the hospital. They're doing this full time. It's just what they're doing now. I couldn't do that. I still love my babies. I love being at the hospital. So I still do it part-time. But needless to say, I realized, okay, wait. So if they want to know how to do this, if I want to know how to do this, other people are going to want to know how to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share that knowledge. Why keep it a secret when I just believe that there's enough businesses out there that will benefit from health content? And why not have nurses write it because
Yeah.
we know it.
We
So
don't we don't know it. Yes.
and they trust us. We're that number one trusted profession, so clients trust us.
Indeed, 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 indeed. And so I jumped into the podcasting, but you have a book also.
I do. Yeah, so that actually, let me find my little book if it's over here. In 2017 I published this. So I was working with another
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
nurse who actually went into marketing, and he and I were working. The site doesn't exist anymore, but it was called sixfigurenurse.com, and we would feature all these different nurses that were making six figures and beyond with their businesses that they were doing. And it was just an outside of the box kind of approach to nursing. And so I wanted to shed some light on the fact that you can do other things from your nursing degree. It doesn't
Yeah.
just have to be inside those hospital walls all the time. So I interviewed 30 plus nurses and learned how they did it and learned their different businesses. It was very cool because I met so many different people. But I mean, yeah, in here there's nurse photographer, content marketing strategist, a publisher, podcasters, CEU provider, wellness coaches, real estate people, inventors, consultants, lawyers. So it's a pretty cool little book. I mean, it's very little. It's nothing crazy, but it's still interesting. And like I said, I think the connections out of everything was my favorite part about writing it. And it makes you feel like a real writer because you got something that you can hold.
So I have one question about that though. When you segue into writing,
Mhm.
did you get any resistance? I
From
asked that,
myself.
not from yourself. I asked that because there was a time fairly early on in my nursing career where I managed a plasmapheresis center in the Caribbean. And I remember distinctly someone saying, but that is not what you were trained to do.
Yes. So what's funny is I don't get resistance from clients.
Right.
I get resistance for myself.
Okay.
Who am I? I'm not a writer. I didn't go to school for this. I should go get a journalism degree. I should go get an English degree. I mean, this is how many years into this now. Obviously, I don't need that. I'm still doing fine. What I tell nurses who struggle with this that want to be writers is that when you started on the floor the first day as a nurse, you didn't know what you were doing either. You knew the basics, but you didn't know what you were doing. And
Yeah.
over time, you developed those
Yeah.
skills. And
Yeah.
as nurses, we need our degree. We need to learn that in a college setting.
Yeah.
You can't just jump online and be a nurse.
Yeah.
But you can as a writer, as long as you can improve on your skills every single day. And how do you do that? You write every single day. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to be an article for a client every single day, but you should be writing something every single day to help yourself build up the skills and always, edit things and make sure your brain is always improving.
Yeah. 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 And that's the thing, really. It's a muscle that you have to work.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But no, I've never had a client be like, well, you know what? I'm not going to use you anymore because you're not a writer. You're a nurse. They love that I'm a nurse because they love that I can take patient medical content and put it into the
Make it
patient
relevant
talk,
to.
right? To make it like what we do every single day when we're educating patients.
So now these days, now I can't talk to nurses without asking about the pandemic. So, and I know that you're still working part-time, right? How is this affecting your practice? You're in Ohio.
Yes, it's actually right now is worse than it was in the middle of the pandemic. As of yesterday, we got an email that we need to volunteer our time to help the hospital. If there's anyone who can help, they just need anyone who can help basically right now. And they're now mandating managers, which they never did,
Yeah.
to go to the medical floors. And my friend and I were talking about it, and I'm like, you know, it's not um, it's not flu season really yet.
No, it isn't.
It's not bad with COVID right now here. We're having a lot of people tested. Like obviously COVID's like didn't go away, but there's not a lot of admissions. Like we're okay on that. So what's the problem? The problem's there's not a lot of nurses. And the problem's going to be what I fear is in the next couple months when flu season hits. When people, might get sick with COVID and flu, like who knows if it's a double whammy, I don't know yet. But
yeah.
so I'm scared. I'm scared for anyone who's admitted to the hospital right now. I was talking to actually one of my clients, and they are a nursing leadership organization, and the CEO and I were talking, and I'm like, I wish I could just go fix it, but I don't even know how to fix it.
You don't even know
they're
where to start.
offering a lot of money to be a nurse right now. They're offering tons of stipends, but it's not worth it. It's not worth your license.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually, so last Wednesday I worked, right? And they implemented that we need to start going to the other floors as helping hands. Okay. I understood it when it was a global pandemic, we've done it before, back when it was a really, really bad flu season. I get it. I'll go from OB and go help, but don't let me take your cardiac patient, because remember, I started in OB.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a little bit scary, right? But we had to put some guidelines in place, but needless to say, so last Wednesday I was the helping hand. So I went over to the floor, and you're basically an aide, but I always tell the nurses, I am more than an aide. Like if you need an IV start, if you need a med pump, like I can do those things too. So I just don't want to chart on anybody, you know. And they're like, I know. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you know, nurses are scared to be a nurse because they're unsafe, and we don't want. It's not the money. Like, don't give me more money. Like I can like whatever. You can give me the money, but it's not going to make me happier to do the job, because I'm still scared. Not that I'm going to lose my license. Yeah, of course I'm scared I'm going to lose my license. My fear is that I'm going to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And then not only, like, say that patient's okay, say I didn't give their heart med and they had a heart attack, but say they're okay, and the hospital's like, it's okay, Janine, you can still keep your license, you can still work. I still have to live with that guilt for the rest of my life. Like, I'm sorry, there's no money in the world because I just hurt somebody's grandpa. You know what I mean? Like that is not how I will practice. So I don't know what the answer is, except that there's too many nurses that aren't at the bedside. So what happened, I think what happened was people were heading towards retirement last year.
Yeah.
And the pandemic, they were like, nope, peace out. I'm done. I'm not doing it. And I think that's what happened. And now there's just not enough of us to replace them.
And even people who weren't heading towards retirement, they're just
done.
They're just burnt out. They're just, you know, it's like overwhelmed. Everything you've given all you've got to give, and there's just no more.
And it wasn't even just like the sick patient. Like we can all do the sick patient. It's, well, now there's this COVID protocol. Now there's this COVID protocol. Now you got to do this and chart this and chart this and chart this and chart this and wear a mask and wear this. And no, you don't have to do that, but do this. And so it's just so much change so fast. And I don't know how people are still doing it. I mean, they're doing it because they have to, honestly. They're doing it because they have to afford their bills and benefits and whatnot.
Yeah, and we're bouncing off walls, I'm telling you.
Hard.
So if you had to look ahead, what is your vision for nurses and nursing? What would you like to see?
I would like to see nurses to be able to have good wages, because I don't think it's fair that, and it's not just nurses, okay? I want this to be for teachers, for policemen, and for firemen and medics. I think the service area needs to be paid better.
Yes.
So I would love for that. I would also love for nurses to have a little bit more freedom and flexibility within their lives. And again, we can't do bedside nursing from home. We just can't. There's no way that, you know, we're never going to be able to do that. But to be able to say like, hey, I can do an 8-hour shift, or I can do a 12-hour shift, something like that. And then I think the other thing is, I think my vision for nurses for the future should be some sort of like no bullying kind of system. Like I just want everybody to get along. Everybody just get along. A lot of laughter and a lot of fun at work. That's what I want for nurses.
You know, of course, you'd have to change the whole population for that.
I know, but hey, it's my vision. I go to work and people are like, Janine, I love working with you. You're always happy. You're always smiling. It's just because you're not here full time. I go, gotta remember, even when I was there full time, I was still trying to be positive and smile. And you have to. You have to.
You have to, otherwise it'll kill you.
It will seriously kill you, for real.
So what would you say is your greatest achievement so far? Because I know Janine has lots more. What would you say is your greatest achievement so far as a nurse?
As a nurse, I think my greatest achievement is saving a patient from an amniotic fluid embolism. She was a patient of mine, her first baby. She walked in for an induction that morning and she was like, oh my gosh, Janine, you were my nurse with my last baby. You have to get it. Are you my nurse today? I'm like, actually, no, I'm the charge nurse. I have this patient down the hall. Blah, blah. I said, she goes, okay, well, when this baby's born, you need a picture with him. I have a picture of you with the other baby. Okay, great. See you later. And that day she had an amniotic fluid embolism about 15 minutes after her water broke, unresponsive. it was a horrible day, but it was a godsend day. Like somehow she pulled through with no deficits. She had a catheter for a little while, but she ended up getting life flighted down to our tertiary center. Actually in not even a maternal area. She was in a neuro ICU down at the Cleveland Clinic main campus.
Yeah.
So she pulled through though, and I still take that. I share that story with every new nurse. Just you always have to be prepared, and
Yes.
it's just all the things that you learn and do, and be in charge that day and everything. Just it was like a full circle in one day. Like everything I've ever taught to do, I
Yeah,
did that day.
you did it.
So that is
Yes.
my greatest accomplishment. I don't want to ever beat that accomplishment. I don't ever want to go higher than that.
You're like, yeah, I take that, but no more.
No more, I'm good.
Yeah.
Everything good in my nursing career was done that day. Like, okay, I can retire now.
So with all that you do, with the nurse and the books and the writing and the podcast and not to mention the most important one, the boys and the dogs what do you do to relax?
To relax, I do I run. I'm a runner.
Okay,
and
good.
I always laugh because like, oh, you gonna train for a marathon? No, I run because I run away from my kids and my husband. They don't follow me. So I just run. It's the only thing I can do that they don't follow me. So that's my reprieve. I run, and we go camping a lot. I love going camping with the kids and travel. We love just going out and about. We do a lot of little adventures. So yeah, just a lot of nature stuff I like. So that's what I do. And this is like nerdy too. I like to read, and I love podcasts. Like I'll go take a walk and just listen. To me, that's fun.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I always ask that because it's so important to nourish yourself.
Yes, and especially
Emotionally
these
and every
days,
way.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have so many distractions and so much grabbing our attention all the time that if you don't take a little bit of time for yourself, and I get it, like as a busy mom, you have kids in your face all the time. We did the whole virtual school last year. It was horrible. Like, you never get a break, but you have to take a little time to yourself, whether that's getting up super early. I do that too, just to have the peace and quiet. It's the introvert in me. Like I'm like, that's how I recharge. I recharge by shutting down, shutting things off and quiet. And sometimes, and I know you've done this too. You've had a crazy day at work and you're driving home and it's just quiet in your car. You don't listen to anything
Anything
because
at
you
all.
just know when you get home, it's just, people are going to talk to again. You just need that silence. So I tell nurses all the time, go home, don't turn your radio on. Just go. Don't call anyone. Just go.
Just go. Yeah. I was smiling just now because you used the word introvert in relation to yourself. Really, Janine?
I know. I am though. If you put me in a group of people, I'm like, okay. But until I start getting to know people or talking, then I'm good.
So, to anyone who wants to be a nurse, who's considering to be being a nurse, what would you say to them?
I would say, know what you're signing up for. And that I don't want that to sound negative, but I want it to be a realistic view. I have a lot of nurses that start as nurses and they never realized they had to be on night shift. They never realized they were going to have to work every other weekend. And I know they don't teach us these things in nursing school, but I think just working in the hospital, I knew that was what I was signing up for. So I think unless you're planning to work on a clinic or something that Monday through Friday, just note that you're going to be working 12 hours on a holiday.
Yeah.
And it's okay because your work family is going to be your work family. Yeah. But, just put it in your brain that this hard work in nursing school right now is going to pay off. You're going to be great. But just know that you'll be working night shift. And there's positives to both shifts. I'll tell you that. And, but just know what you're signing up for.
Yes, indeed. That's very true. Know what you're signing up for. As you said that, I remember having a nurse who cried because she saw a dead body. She said, I'd never seen a dead body before. And I thought, did you get through the whole thing without ever having, and yeah. Not that you're gonna see dead people.
Unfortunately, we are nursing to come to deliver and die.
It's part of the deal.
And I guess, you know, another thing is you will cry.
Yeah.
You will cry. You're gonna cry. You're gonna be angry. You're gonna cry.
And you should
you're
cry.
Gonna be happy. And you should cry because there's gonna be overwhelming experiences that you go through. But you know, go to the other side of that and learn from everything. And and you're never be a know-it-all. There's always something you can learn. And you know, I can teach people OB stuff all the time, but I'm always like, teach me. Like, what don't I know? And just because I have almost 20 years experience does not mean I'm an expert.
Right. And things are always changing and evolving and all kinds of things. And you know, you've got to.
Well, I think too, as for nurses to know, like, keep up, like when you get out of nursing school, you are so excited and everything. Keep that excitement because it's going to keep you wanting to learn more about whatever you're going into. Keep a book by your bedside. Look up diagnoses you're not used to. Like, it's going to make you a better nurse for sure.
Yeah. You have to constantly learn. Otherwise, you know, you're not functioning. Otherwise,
if you're a bedside nurse, be the best bedside nurse that you can be. Don't jump right away to charge. Just be the best bedside nurse that you can be, because you will evolve into a charge nurse. You'll evolve into a precept.
You will. That's how you do it, actually. That is how you do it. Janine, thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much I have enjoyed this conversation.
Can you see my shirt? You see my shirt? It says, "It's my nurse shirt." I'm like, well, I'm gonna wear it.
It's a beautiful day to save lives. Awesome. I love it.
Save some lives, everybody.
Thank you so very, very much for agreeing to do this. I really appreciate it more than you know.
Well, I hope your audience appreciates it and likes it as well, as I had fun.
Well, we both did.